Lexus is continuing its assault on the luxury car market by bringing out this, the ES, which replaces the GS, by the way. This is, GS is gone, so this is the ES 300H, and we have a sort of an F-Sport version of it as well, very sporty looking. Under the bonnet, a 2.5 litre petrol engine lurks, don't get too excited by that, and it's coupled to a hybrid system underneath, the same kind of system you will find in a Toyota Camry later on this year. Lexus say that this car is their luxury version of any car, taking on Mercedes, BMW, Audi, Volvo now. They're all after that luxury brand. Can this Lexus actually compete with a Mercedes E-Class and be the top of the game? Maybe it beats an A6, maybe it could possibly beat a BMW 5 Series. Let's have a look in here and find out. The simple answer to this is no, I don't think so. I don't think it can really. It's a tough place to be to compete against companies that have been making European styled cars forever, and now Lexus want to enter that game and have always tried to. So I'm sitting very far back, this is an electric seat, it will all make sense in a couple of minutes. Let's look down along the dash. We've got a lot of this cuts and lines and stuff going on again. Curvy bits, lines, joins, cuts, things that are going on around the car quite a lot. It's very busy looking. I like it. This is hand stitched leather across the dashboard here, which is absolutely gorgeous. Hand stitching along here as well. I see a little tiny error in the stitch, but a little hand stitch across here, I would expect a little errors. You got a big glove box underneath that's very deep, like a shelf, so it goes back a long way. I have a single cup holder in the middle here. I have another sort of a, who knows what kind of a thing that is. It's like a bottle holder, but it's for something else as well. Little small area in front here. This opens this way for the passenger, but also opens that way for the driver. It's double hinged, which I really like. That's really good. And in here is a wireless charging unit for your phone and a very deep pocket. I also have two USB ports up at the front here, so there's no shortage of ways of charging your phone or your devices in general. There's an electronic parking brake under here. No foot brake in this one, unlike some of the Toyotas and Lexus. And then you have a power button beside that as well. But before we turn the car on, across here we have a bank of buttons, all to do with the air conditioning and auto systems that are turned on, all physical buttons. Beneath that, I have physical buttons to operate the radio and a physical knob to turn the volume up and down and tuning. Dual heated seats, both with an auto function, which I quite like. They automatically come on themselves when you leave them on that setting. When you close up that little box there, you've got a CD player underneath that again. There is a physical clock in the center of the dashboard, a real one, a ticky one, and then you have the seat and position gear stick here as well. Now we have to turn on the car to see the rest of the stuff. So once I turn it on, you'll see that my steering wheel comes down, my seat goes forward and things. It's made mostly for fat Americans. I know, I get it. It's very clever. It means it's quite easy to get in and out of the car. The electronic manual dash I'll come to in a second, but we'll deal with the infotainment system right now. So the infotainment system is, that's not a touch screen. So what you do is you touch a Lexus pad here in the middle, which moves a little sort of a track mouse pad thing around. So when you click it, it's very nice. It's very good. I think it's very good, but it can be awful hard to find what you're looking for. When you click something, you click the button and then you go in and you have a look at the source, and it's fiddly. It's not, definitely not the best thing, but it's not the worst thing, because it doesn't have, you know, the heating controls are still outside and there's still other stuff. You don't use it all that much. Once you've actually paired up your Bluetooth device and play a tune or play your devices out of it or use your Bluetooth, whatever it is, once it's actually paired up, you don't really interfere with it much after that. Now, unless you're going to, of course, set the sat-nav, which is a different story entirely, then you've got to pull over. That's the only way you're going to set the sat-nav, is to pull over and start pressing the buttons and clicking things. But there is some physical buttons, so there is a menu button, a home button, a back button up here, and then there's this kind of eject thing, which ejects a CD, but there's no CD in it. I have an EV mode. It's not worth it, just leave it in auto, it's fine. And you have a hold mode, which is for holding on hills, and then you have an actual gear stick. If you can hear all that, you hear all that? That's the drivetrain. So you can hear the drivetrain, which is a weird thing. PRND is all it's on, and sport, and then I have flappy paddles on the back of that as well to help me control that. Now I can, if I want to, control the climate control from the screen in here, but you don't have to because it's all here. It's up to you, whatever you see. I like the choices. This is much better coupled to this trackpad than it was with that thing they had in there. I don't know how best to describe that. It's sort of a big switch. In the center console here in front of me, I do have auto lights and wipers. I have auto everything really. I have active cruise control in this as well, and this also controls that, so I can do both of that as well. This mechanical thing that goes back and forward here, we've seen this before, right? We've seen it in most of Lexus, but the dial itself actually moves physically moves left and right. It's not an electronic thing, but it has a little electronic screen and it covers over other screens. It's lovely, it's novel, it's very different. I do like it a lot. It's cool to look at. It's not a game changer for me. It's not going to sell the car any better than it was before, but it still does a job nicely. Over here I can control the 4 electric windows. I can turn off the electric windows in the back for the kids, and I can unlock and unlock the doors and then have auto fold-in mirrors and auto adjustments on the mirrors as well. Worth to mention here, these are F Sport seats. They are without doubt the most comfortable seats I've ever sat in a car. They're absolutely outstanding. I would mark them up against my second most comfortable seat ever in a car. The new Peugeot 508 has the most comfortable seats standard in the car, and these ones here are better than it, but they cost a lot more. This is a beautiful cabin. It takes a bit in getting used to, but the big question we started off asking was, can this really compete with a Mercedes E-Class? No, not really. So they don't line the car doors with anything. It's just plastic down here, and down here is a little bit plastic there as well. You know, so just I can find it, but price point here, this is cheaper than the equivalent cars with the equivalent kit from the other German brands. So Lexus been able to take on the German brands? Not quite yet in this department, but I think they're definitely on the route. The key of being luxury in here, it feels every inch. This car makes you feel special when you're behind the wheel, and that's no joke. I don't take that comment lightly. Anyway, let's move back a row and we have a look at the back seat, right? We just turn the power off. Look at the seat. It goes, it's very nice. Oh, memory seats as well. How about that? Right, back seat. Really, the memory seat function up the front is actually quite nice. As you can see, that seat came back, so that seat rolled back when I got over, but look how much room I still have. Doesn't matter. It rolled back on me, so it's back as far as it's going to go. It's not my driving position, and I can still fit a fist in here. I reckon when you're sitting in here with that seat in driver position, I would easily be able to stretch my legs out in any way I can. The doors themselves, a clunk. It's actually okay, you know, it's not the worst one I've ever heard, but it's pretty dark back here, so I noticed that straight off, right? It's dark and there's not much adjustments in the seats or anything, but you do get 2 USB ports down here for charging 2.1 amp, and then you get a 12 volt 120 watt socket right beside that. You do have a lovely, luxurious armrest that has a little holder release for stuff, your lunch maybe. Another holder here in front for a phone. You'd fit maybe iPhone 6 into that, anything bigger than that would be much. And then 2 cup holders out the front here that flip out. This is a really luxurious armrest holder. I do have a ski system thing, hole for going through when you go to IKEA. So that's there as well as standard. And that's a very nice action. The hinge on that is actually very good. It's very nice. Now curiously, try as I might, I have failed to find a way to let the seats fall flat. I don't see a way that they can. I don't see any hinges or any gaps or anything I can do from in here to make these seats come down, which I think is a massive oversight. You always want a way to move the seat when you're in the cabin. Trust me, there's so many times where I've had to move the seats in the cabin. Anyway, let's move to the boot. Okay, so those back doors are quite wide, easy to get in and out of. But anyway, moving on to the boot. As you can see, there's a spoiler here which looks like it's been kind of added on to the top of the boot. It's not part of the metal, it's actually stuck to the top of the metal. Anyway, where you expect the boot opener to be in the middle is not there, so your fingers get manky dirty because there's a little camera there. You have to come all the way over to the right hand side here and find a little, there it is. It's all the way over there. Weird place to have it. Anyway, the boot opening, as you can see, this is not electric, so it does go up, but it's kind of hydraulically driven. The boot opening is narrow here, this part here. I do have shopping bag hooks in the back, but again, looking in there, there's no way of dropping the back seats. That's a weird decision, I have to say. Not too sure I'd be too thrilled on that one now, because there is always, even if this is a business utility vehicle, it makes no difference. You're still going to at some point want to load something in there that's bigger than the back of this car. That aside, let's look at the boot shape itself. It's got a big mat in it. This one has a big rubberized mat, is available as a special option on your car. When you lift it up, underneath you've got a hook and a lift thing, which lifts up and allows you to be able to see what's underneath that, which is no spare wheel. I have a compressor thing, I have a jack and a wheel brace and the usual sort of stuff in here. Completely and utterly useless to you when you have a puncture, but that's what comes in this one. There is space for a spare wheel, can I at least point out to Lexus, that there is an actual hole there you can put a spare wheel into. So could you please put a spare wheel in it? Because even a little skinny spare wheel is way better than that stupid compressor thing. Anyway, as a space, it's a boot, it's got hooks, it's got little else, and that's pretty much it. It's small. Right, let's go for a drive. That's that noise, just so I point out here, that's this thing. That's vibrating. Need some screws in it. So this is run on Toyota's Lexus 2.5 litre petrol, and coupled to a hybrid unit. Puts out, yours makes no difference, about a little over 200 horsepower. If you drive it like I'm driving it right now, it just wafts along. I mean, it's just cruising here. What more do you need? Okay, so I have a button up here at the top that says Eco, Normal, Custom, or S plus, SS plus, S plus, whatever it is. Lots of things. So you go to Normal, and that's fine. And then you go to Sport Plus, and it changes the dashboard around. You go to Eco, you go to Sport, you press the button for Normal mode, which just puts it in everyday sort of humor mode. Fuel gauge is going down at the expected rate. I thought it would go down a little bit slower, being a hybrid, but I'm getting let me just route. I think we'll route into the system here and see if we can find out what fuel economy we've been getting long term, right? So it says after reset 6.4 litres per 100 kilometres. That's pretty good. Now I'm on a really bumpy road, which is why the camera's vibrating around up there. This is a really patchwork quilt road. That's why I like it down here. I love coming down this area because you really do get to test suspension, but I can absolutely promise you I'm not feeling any of them bumps under the car. I can see the camera's nose going ding, 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 but under the car, all is well in my world. So what Lexus really have done here is create something special. And I really do mean special. I feel like a special person. Not special in a bad way. Special as in a good way. I feel good about driving this car. I look out the window at it and go, yes, that is a tasty looking vehicle. And when I drive around, I notice the looks I get. I notice people pay attention to it. They want to see this Lexus because it's something they didn't see before. It actually handles pretty well. I mean, you can put your foot down and it'll respond. It'll put that power down for you. And it does a good job of staying between the lines easy enough as well. I really think it's a good car. It's an honest car. Does it compete with the Mercedes E-Class, Audi A6, BMW 5 Series, Volvo S90? Just keep rattling off those names that want to be in the luxury brand market. Yes, it certainly does compete. But noises, no. It's not that it's a bad noise, it's an engine noise, but it's not a refined engine noise. It's just a 4-pot engine doing what it does, but it's 2.5 litres. That's really it. It definitely competes in a zone I wasn't expecting it to compete in. It feels luxurious. Yes, I can find a kind of cheaper grade, lower grade plastics that are used to save weight, and that's really what it's about. It's not about money, it's about weight. It's about how light they can make the car rather than how much money they can save by using lesser grade plastics. Remember, this is a hybrid, so it's built partially for economy, It's also just generally not going to be as economic as a diesel, so straight off the mark. And then you have the hybrid batteries and all that stuff that had the gubbins that they put into the car as well. All that is gaining weight on the car. So it's all about cutting that weight away, and that's why there's lower grade plastics. What do I not like? The interface. The interface still isn't right. The user in here is someone who's very technically proficient. You're talking about someone who's very good with that sort of stuff, maybe an Android user type person. The addition of Apple CarPlay would be very simply put, easy put into there. Really, I think the interface is absolutely gorgeous. I love the thing. It looks great, but it's difficult to use. It's always going to be difficult when you've got a touchpad down here. It's always going to be a little bit trickier. I do like it. It does work perfectly. When I hook up my Spotify and I put my playlist on, I can use the controls on the steering wheel to control everything else. I can flick through the playlist quick enough as long as I want to go forward or back. But I can't see a list of Spotify playlists or anything. Nothing goes up on the screen about it. So that's just, it's hard work, that bit. The rest of the car, perfect. I think if they had a really clear method for putting that interface in, and less of a Japanesey American affair, more of a European affair, go study Audi. They do the best interface. Mercedes do an okay interface, but even that's a bit complicated. And BMW, well, BMW can be a little bit difficult at times. So modes wise, in the car for driving, I have Eco, which turns everything down. I have Normal, which just lets the car get on with being a hybrid and doing what it does, giving you all the power whenever you need it. You've got, when you press up, you've got Sport, which doesn't do anything as far as I can see. I'm sure it makes it sportier, but it doesn't change the noise or anything here. No, noise still sounds the same. Then you have Sport Plus, which gives you a very big rev counter around the outside, which is very nice. And the rev counter goes orange when you put your foot down. That's all pretty good, actually. I quite like that. Doesn't change any noises though, right? So normal it is pretty much where my brain is all the time. I just leave it in normal, it works, it's fine. To sum it up then, Lexus really did a bloody good job at making this car. It's an amazing feeling under me. The surface of the road is completely cushioned out beautifully. The whole car feels very composed on the road. I do like it. It is a lovely thing to trundle about in. It's not necessarily a thing I want to go down the Autobahn at 200 kilometers an hour in, but as a composed unit for a car, it does very, very well. So hopefully by now you've learned everything you need to know about the Lexus ES 300h and you've hit the subscribe button. Click the subscribe button for more of that information, please. It's very good of you to do so. I'd really enjoy your company here on this channel. It's really good to have you aboard. You can join us on a Sunday for the Sunday service, which is something that's become incredibly popular in Ireland for some strange reason. Just me sitting down talking about cars for 2 hours. Everybody likes that. You can do physical meetups as well. We also have a Facebook page for the rest of you who don't have a life and really want to stay online all the time. Hopefully you've enjoyed it and hit the subscribe button. Check out the list of links down below for ways you can support this channel. But until the next time, we'll see you on the far side.